Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I want to go a little bit more in depth on how I evaluate cards and like what my way of doing things is, and kind of like talking about certain key cards. I'm gonna give two examples in this video for you all. The bottom line of the video is when I evaluate cards, especially swing cards, like not like normal cards like a Ronin Renegade or like a Dust Runner Outlaw, but like swing cards, right? Like Spreading Flames, or maybe Uprising or Phoenix Form, or like really big cards that can turn the tide of a game. I try to evaluate like what is best case scenario and then what is like my normal case scenario, right? Because how I approach deck building is I do not want to build a card or include a card because of a dream scenario that it's going to have. I try my best, to my best knowledge, to find what the normal line probably is going to look like for that card, like 80% of the time, and then I decide, is that card worth it in my deck, right? So I'm gonna kind of give examples of that and kind of like how I look at it, and then let you decide for yourself, how you deck build and stuff like that. But for newer players, if you're really stuck on a card and you're like, I don't know if this card be good or not, the easy answer is to test. Obviously, test the card and really write down your lines that you get with it and stuff like that. But before you test, you can do stuff like this in Tabletop Simulator and just kind of see, what this card is going to look like. So first example is Spreading Flames, right? So the scenario is you have a 5-card hand. You do not have a Tunic resource. We're not going to get too crazy here. You just have a 5-card hand with a blue, and Spreading Flames is in Arsenal. And so what I did was I mapped out somewhat what I would see like a really, really ideal turn. I didn't goldfish too much because goldfishing is a hell of a drug. And I didn't want to like give this insane dream scenario, but I wanted to give like what would be a really good Spreading Flames turn, and then kind of give like what would be an okay Spreading Flames turn, and then talk about like the differences and like, then let you evaluate for yourself, is the card worth it? So you pitch a blue, you pop your stubby hammers, you pitch blue, you play Spreading Flames for 3, right? And I have it written down here, so I don't have to do math in public. So Spreading Flames will come in for 4 because of stubby hammers. The ideal scenario for any Spreading Flames turn, in my opinion, is have an Inflame, the second card that you see right here, in hand. And Inflame basically allows you to go get another Phoenix Flame, and it'll get that +1 buff from Spreading Flames and get the +1 from stubby hammers. So you start on a really good start. Because if you play Emberblade here, or you play any 3-power attack on the second link, then Spreading Flames doesn't give it the buff, right? The way Spreading Flames works is Draconic attacks you control have +1 while their base is less than the number of chain links you control. So this counts as chain link 1. So on chain link 2, you basically need a 1 power for it to get the buff. On chain link 3, you need a 2 power for it to get the buff. On chain link 4, you need a 3 power or less for it to get the buff, right? And so on and so forth. So you want to kind of like literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your links after Spreading Flames for base, or at the minimum do that. So what that means is a card like Ronin Renegade, for example, because it's 3 power, if you play it on Chain Link 2 or 3, it won't get the buff. You have to play it on Chain Link 4, which is, we'll get to that in a second on why Spreading Flames is a little awkward. But ideally, you'd want to play Inflame here. It would get the +1 buff from Inflame, or from Spreading Flames, and the +1 buff from Stubby Hammers. You go get your Phoenix Flame. Then you play Phoenix Flame. It gets a +1 from Spreading and Stubby. Then you go get another Phoenix Flame with Fi's ability. Same thing. It goes up to 3. Then you play Searing Emberblade. It'll get the buff from Spreading Flames, but not Stubby. So now you've used your blue for resources. And then with the last 2 cards in hand, let's just say they're both 0 cost, because that's not, crazy for Fi. You play like a Ronin Renegade and a Lava Burst, and you end with a Lava Burst. So that Ronin Renegade comes in for 4 from Stubby Hammers, or 5 Spreading Flames and Stubby Hammers. The Lava Burst gets a +2 as well from these 2 cards, and it ends up coming in for 8. Right? Or 7. Sorry, can't do math. Again, that's why I don't do math in public. So the line goes like 4 damage for Spreading Flames, 3 damage for Inflame, 3 damage for Phoenix Flame, 3 damage for Phoenix Flame, 4 damage for Emberblade, 5 damage for Ronin, and then 7 damage for Lava Burst. That's 27 damage, or 29 damage over 7 chain links, and you're threatening Mask Momentum 2 times. So you're threatening it on this Phoenix Flame, and you're threatening it on Ronin Renegade, right? So that's an ideal turn. 29 damage, threatening Mask Momentum twice, forcing them to block it twice. Like, that's really good, right? So at its height, without getting insanely goldfishy, that is good. And basically the conditions for this are you have a blue in hand, Spreading Flames in Arsenal, and you have an Inflame in hand, right? So like now that we look at what the ideal scenario is, what is like the normal scenario? So normal scenario is this. So normal scenario is same thing. You have a blue, you hop Stubby Hammers, you pitch a blue, you play Spreading Flames, but you don't have a 1 power attack for your second chain link, so you can't get the buff. But you do have like a normal good Ronin Renegade for 0, which is 3. So play Ronin Renegade, gets the +1 buff from that, coming in for 4, and Spreading Flames will get the +1 from Stubby Hammers as well. So you're at 8 right now. Then you have a decision make, right? So let's say you have like a Rising Resentment and a Lava Burst in hand. You have all 0 cost attacks. Right, if you play Rising, because so you don't want to play Emberblade on Chain Link 3 because you want to play Rising Resentment or an attack action so you can threaten Mask. You can't play your Phoenix Flame because you're not on Chain Link 3 yet, and you don't want to use that last resource to go get a Flame. You want to threaten it with like a good breakpoint attack so you can possibly hit Mask. So you're basically forced to use your Rising Resentment or whatever your 0 cost is here. So you can't quite swing with Ember yet. Then you maybe would swing with Ember here using your second and third resource. Then you use your Phoenix Flame, play it for this here, and then you use Lava Burst, right? So that reads 4 damage, 4 damage. This would come in this one, but the problem is, and so this is what I was talking about. So now the reason I had Ember Blade here originally is because if you play Rise and Resentment on Chain Link 3, it's not going to get the plus buff from Spreading Flames. So you have to make a decision. Do I want to threaten Mask of Momentum with an attack action card? Do I want to pay 1 resource to go get a Phoenix Flame so then I can threaten Mask, but now you can't swing with Ember? You see what I'm saying? It's like that's the difficulty with this card, is like that third chain link is actually extremely awkward if you don't have Inflame or you don't have Flame Call Awakening or something like that to go get a Phoenix Flame early, because you don't have very many 2-power attacks to play on Chain Link 3, right? Other than your Phoenix Flame, or if you're like running a yellow, right? So the reason I put Ember Blade here was because like you just kind of sacrifice the fact of these first 2 attacks aren't going to be buffed and you're going to attack your later attacks. So you're buff your later attacks. So Spreading Flames comes in for 4, Ronin comes in for 5, or 4 again because it doesn't get the Spreading Flames buff. Ember Blade doesn't get a buff because it's on Chain Link 3. It equals the amount of attack. Phoenix Flame gets both buffs. Rise and Resentment gets both buffs. Lava Burst gets both buffs. So the damage reads like 4, 4, 4. Then you get 3. Then you get 5 from Rising Resentment, and then you get again 7 from Lava Burst. So this is a normal turn. So a normal turn, you're at 27 damage over 6 links. However, you're only threatening Mask 1 time because Mask won't pop off an Ember Blade attack, right? It has to pop off an attack action card. So you're looking at this line, you're like, well, I want Mask to be able to be threatened twice, so what do I do? So now in order for Mask to be threatened twice, you basically have to play an attack action card right here, and you don't want to spend 1 resource to go get a Flame because then you can't swing with Ember Blade. You're trying to use those last 2 resources for Ember Blade. So you're basically forced to do this line. And when you do this line, Ronin only gets the stubby buff, Rising only gets the stubby buff, Phoenix Flame will get both, Searing will only get the Spreading Flames buff, it won't get the stubby buff, and then Lava Burst gets both. So now you're at 4, plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12. Then this gets both buffs, so you're at 15. This only gets 1 buff, so you're at 19, and then this is for 7, so you're at 26. So you're at 26 damage, but you're threatening Mask Momentum both times, right? But you kind of see like Spreading Flames technically on this turn only gave you +3, which still isn't bad, right? And then on this turn, it gave you +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6, right? And you're threatening more damage. However, you only did 3 more damage, right? Over 1 more link. So like, is it really worth it at the end of the day, right? What I'm trying to show you is like, this is really complicated and really in-depth, and I get it. I'm trying to go too in-depth with this, but I'm trying to show you like look at what an ideal turn looks like. Like how often are you going to get a Spreading Flames in hand with an Inflame, with a blue, with all 0 cost attacks? So you can, like, if this is a Rise Up, you now need a Tunic resource, and because you can't play Spreading Flames, swing with Ember Blade, and play Rise Up, right? Or if this is a Breaking Point, you can't swing with it. This would have to be a Rising Resentment in order for it to work, right? So like you see all the situational plays, like it just makes it very difficult in certain aspects. So now you got to say, okay, is Spreading Flames really worth it? If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. But it kind of gives you an idea of like best and normal case scenario. Worst case scenario is for Spreading Flames is like this right here is like a 1 cost attack, right? So now you have to make the decision of, do I play this one? Like, let's say this is Mounting Anger, You play Mounting Anger here, you now can't swing with Emberblade because you don't have the resources. So now you come down to a 5 card or 5 link hand, and you're dealing 4, 8, 12, 17, 17 plus 7, like 24 damage turn over 5 links, which still is really good, but you're not threatening Mask Momentum twice, right? You're just dealing a lot of damage, which still is really good. But it kind of gives you an idea of like the littlest thing, because Spreading Flames cost 1 resource, if you have any other cards in your hand that cost 1 resource, you now cannot swing with Emberblade unless you have Tunic, right? Like if any of these are 1 cost, you can't swing with Emberblade anymore. And that's just how it goes. So now you have to evaluate, like, okay, if I want to swing with Emberblade nearly every turn, how do I do this, right? And ideally you want to swing with Emberblade on chain 2, right? So ideally, so that just kind of gives you an idea, right? And then we'll look at Uprising here. I won't go too in depth with Uprising, but it's like Uprising, same scenario. You have a blue, you pop Stubby, you play Uprising from Arsenal. The ideal scenario is like you play Flame Call Awakening. It'll get both buffs. So you're at 5. Then you play Phoenix Flame for 3. Then you play Rising Resentment for 5. Then you play Emberblade for 4. Then you play Phoenix Flame for 2 because it's not going to get the Uprising buff anymore because you played 4 attacks. Then you play Lava Burst for 6. That's 25 damage over 6 links, and you threaten Mass twice because you threaten it on this attack and you threaten it on this attack. A normal one is this one, which is, Ronin Renegade for 5. We have Ronin Renegade for 5. You have Searing Emberblade for 4. You have Phoenix Flame for 3. And then you have Rising Resentment for 5. And then Lava Burst comes in for 6, right? So, again, this one, you're dealing 23 damage over 5 links, right? So, now you kind of got to look like, okay, now what's the difference between this and Spreading Flames? So, like, both of these cards are kind of like doing the same thing for you. They're both buffing a bunch of attacks. So, now it's like, the difference is Uprising costs 0. So the flexibility of this card is a lot better than Spreading Flames. Because, like, imagine if this is a Mounting Anger. It doesn't matter. Like, up here, if this was a Mounting Anger, that means we need 4 resources to play this line out with Emberblade. Whereas if this is Mounting Anger, like, the only resources we've used this whole turn is with Emberblade. So now this can be a Mounting Anger. This can be a Rise Up. This can be a Breaking Point, and it doesn't matter. You have a lot more flexibility with the cards that you're using. However, technically, Spreading Flames is going to get you more damage on both ideal turns, only a few points, right? Like the ideal turn had 29 damage, whereas the ideal Uprising turn was 25. The normal damage for Spreading Flames was 26. The normal for Uprising was 23. However, the flexibility in these hands is a lot higher, right? Because in the normal Uprising turn, you can afford to have a 1-cost red attack. Whereas in the normal Spreading Flames turn, you cannot have a 1-cost red attack if you want to swing with Emberblade. It just won't work, right? So this is kind of give you an idea, right? Like, it's super granular, super in-depth, but for newer players, I want you to understand, like, look at the card and, like, understand, like, okay, how powerful can the card be? How bad can the card be? Okay, how often is that really powerful turn going to come up, right? You have to test to figure that out, but right? Like, or just initially, like, does it seem like that's a realistic turn? Okay, what does the normal attack look like, right? What's a normal hand look like? If I draw this up 10 times, what's the most normal hand look like, right? Then you look at the downsides. The downsides for Spreading Flames is you can't have another 1-power attack, whereas with Uprising, I can have another 1-power attack, right? Either way, like, you decide what's best for you, but I just want to kind of give an idea of, like, the whole purpose of this video was don't look at the most ideal turn and make a decision based off that. Look at the most, like, normal turn and then understand its flexibility. The power in Ninja is its consistency. It's not in pop-off turns. It's not. That is not where Ninja makes you pay. Ninja makes you pay by presenting you consistent turns, turn to turn, making you make a mistake from different decision points, right? So hopefully this made sense. I know it's really granular for what I normally do, and I understand that, and hopefully, like, it's not too crazy for y'all. I really wanted to kind of just, like, give my thought process on how I look at these, right? But yeah, hopefully it makes sense to you. If you like it, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you see holes in my argument and what I try to do, that's totally fine. Let me know in the comments below. Just give me a better suggestion. Don't just say, like, this sucks, which is what most people do, which is really funny. But yeah. If you don't like it, no worries. Go to our Fleshbug career, like and comment, subscribe on their stuff so we get more people seeing this game. Let me know what content y'all want to see. I'm trying to do some, like, really interesting, different stuff than I normally do going into Uprising. So hopefully it works out. But yeah, hopefully y'all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk.